Hello everyone, how are we doing today? So today we're going to be going over the model that we have in the classroom of the ear. So I went in and took this little video of the model so that you could have access to this outside of the classroom. So here we're looking at the inside. Right there would be the tympanic membrane. First we have the different regions of the ear. This is called the external ear right out here. Then we have the middle ear right here, and then the internal ear is within this bony labyrinth over here. So we're going to talk about those different features on the ear. So as we play this is just going through the different parts here. We're going to label some of the bigger objects and focus on those in this one. And now there is some tape on here, and the ossicles inside the ear aren't perfect, but we can get a good general representation. So first here, let's see, out here for the outer ear, we have the auricle, or the pinna of the ear, and the outer rim is called the helix. I'm not going to label those, and the bottom part here is then called the lobule of the ear. And then what I do want to label, let's go a little closer in here. Let's go right here. We're pretty centered right here. All right, let's draw some lines in here. Right there is we have our external acoustic meatus, or that's our ear canal. Next thing I want to label is right in here. There's a membrane right here. It's hard to see, but trust me, there's a membrane. That's the tympanic membrane. And then we have this tube that runs down here to the pharynx. This is called the pharyngotympanic tube, or the eustachian tube. Then up here we have the three middle ear bones that we'll label later when there's a better angle of them coming up. It's hard to see the one here. I think we might be able to fit them in there. But we can label the thing that's labeled number 14 here. This is the entrance to the mastoid antrum, which in the empitotympanic recess at the superior wall of the middle ear here. So then, no, we'll wait to label the bones on the other angle. But we can label some of the other parts here. We have the semicircular canals. We'll draw a line to each of these and label them. And then right here, we have the vestibulocochlear nerve. It's a combination of the cochlear nerve and the vestibular nerve. Then we can label this one right here as well. So that's the vestibule. And then right here we have the cochlea. These are the main structures we have in the ear. Again, some of the other stuff is hard to see because the ear structures are very small. So let's label these ones right here. We have first one, the external acoustic meatus, or ear canal. And then we have the tympanic membrane, the pharyngotympanic tube, now if you call this the eustachian tube, that's perfectly okay. Then up here, that little spot on the superior side of this says the entrance to the mastoid antrum. So we'll just label this mastoid antrum. These tubes, so inside there is where you would have the ampulla cristaris. So those are the ones that are swimming in the perilymph of the fluid that's going around in there for regulating and analyzing rotational motion. Then within the vestibule here, that's where we have the saccule and the utricle, or the ear stones on the macula, and those are regulating forward head movement and reverse head movement. So that's all in the lecture portion. So these are the semicircular canals. This one is in the vestibule. And then right here, this is the vestibulocochlear nerve. So remember, this is one of the cranial nerves, and so the vestibulocochlear nerve, don't just call it the cochlear nerve because it's a combination of both. And then right here, where hearing is analyzed, or well, not analyzed, but becomes an action potential, this is the cochlea, this little spiral-shaped organ in there. So these are the main structures in here that I want you to know. Now, just as a bonus info here, let's go down and see if we can get a good angle of these middle ear bones. Right there we can see the three of them. So we have the hammer, the anvil, and the stapes, or the stirrup. The hammer, the anvil, and the stirrup are the layman ways to say it. But here we have the malleus, the incus, and the stapes. So the malleus is the hammer. So malleus is the hammer, like a mallet. And then number 2 here is the anvil, or the incus. So the hammer hits the anvil. And then it vibrates the stapes, or the stirrup. So this then vibrates on that. These are all little synovial joints between here, and that sends it through the oval window right there, sends those vibrations through the cochlea, and then that's how hearing is perceived. It then exits. This little arrow right here is representing what's called then the round window, but those are pretty poorly labeled on this model. But the oval window is right there where the stirrup, or the stapes, enters the vestibule and sends the signal in. And then this little arrow right here is referring to the round window where the sound exits if it doesn't pass through properly, or if it's just mitigating the sound waves in the ear. One other thing I want to add here is this eustachian tube. If you have a pressure change, so if you're flying in a plane, this is actually flattened, so this pressure is different inside the ear compared to outside the ear and in the pharynx. So what happens when you swallow, you get a little ear pop. And that's because this tube opened up a little bit and it equated the pressure inside and out. And if you don't equalize that pressure, hearing becomes difficult, because this tympanic membrane that's right in here requires that pressure to be equal in the external ear and the middle ear. If that pressure has a difference, it can contort the sound waves a little bit, and hearing can be a little bit more difficult. So then, so chewing gum while on a plane or climbing a hill are ways to prevent that from getting too bad. But that's all I have here to go over the ear. Not a lot of intense structures, but I did want to go over it because there are some important structures in here, and it's hard to see these structures, on 2D images. Also, wait, I can show the ear in 3D organon as well. So here is the external acoustic meatus as going down through right here in the temporal bone. Now I do want to add the sensory input here. So if we remove the temporal bone, right in there is that apparatus housed inside the skull. So right there, that's the tympanic membrane. That's what's vibrating. And then as we get down in there we see the malleus, the incus, and the stapes. And there's that round window on the vestibule. This is the cochlea, and then this is the semicircular canal, all embedded in that bony labyrinth in there within the temporal membrane. And then if we add the nerves, so here adding, where is it at? Nervous system. We then come off of this little vestibular cochlear nerve right there. Is much larger on that model. So then right here, the vestibular nerve is what goes to the vestibule, and the cochlear nerve is what then goes to the cochlea. Then they combine into the vestibular cochlear nerve, which is also cranial nerve 5, 6, 7, 8. So then it goes right into there onto the base of the top superior portion of the medulla oblongata, right by the pons, and then goes for analysis up into the temporal region. So it has a little bit to travel to get up there then. But okay, now that is all I want to say about hearing. So last one we talked about vision and whatnot, but hearing and all the major anatomical structures, and I had that model to go with, which was a nice way to represent all this. So with that, now is the end of the video, and I hope you all have a great day. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and bye-bye.